Welcome to video number 2 of today. Shout out to all of you that watched the first one as well. And we'll be back here tomorrow for another video. In this one, of course, we will go over the predictions. Yes, don't worry. We'll definitely do that. But there's a lot more analysis or reaction from the semifinals that I want to go over with you guys. Some extended thoughts, if you will, as I had a lot of them after these 2 semis. And hey, if you're new around here and you like what you see, consider subscribing to help out the channel. It's free, man. Promise you. No hidden costs. Let's look at the predictions first and then go over some extended thoughts on the 2 semis. Benzema has as many goals for Real Madrid in La Liga as the next 6 top scorers in their squad combined. Unfortunately for Real, this trend of Benzema really being the only one that contributes to the attack is hurting them badly. Against Chelsea, it's hard to think of any meaningful chances that were created by his teammates or were taken by his teammates, or even just ones that happened to fall to them. This has to be an area of worry for Zidane and Perez. They absolutely need some support for Benzema in the attack. That's why I did a video on it. Under Tuchel, they have scored more than 2 goals in just one of his 20 matches in charge. That came up against Crystal Palace. That remains to be true, but again, when you defend as well as Chelsea does and you have a great shot stopper like Mendy in goal, I mean, you don't need to score many goals for yourself. The top scorers in the Premier League are all locked at 6 goals apiece, and they've had 15 different scorers, which says a lot, really. It's a team effort when it comes to the goal output, the opposite of what's going on with Real Madrid at the moment. They feel like a balanced matchup, these two. Chelsea perhaps slightly better defensively, while Real Madrid is slightly better in the attack. And that wasn't the case at all, as Chelsea consistently cut through Real Madrid's backline with ease. Now, some of that could be due to the constant changing of personnel at the back for Real Madrid. I think Nacho played in every position at least once in the back line across the 2 legs. Varane in, Varane out, Ramos in after another lengthy spell on the sideline, straight in against Chelsea. I mean, it was a mess for them back there. But Chelsea are actually improving in the attack as well, as evidenced by Werner contributing more lately, Pulisic in great form, and Havertz, in my opinion, making himself the standout starter, the only choice as the striker. I don't discount Tuchel's experience in this competition, and I definitely can't look past the experience of players such as Casemiro, Modric, Kroos, Varane, Benzema, Carvajal, and more within the Real Madrid squad that have seen so much success in this competition. If I had to choose, Real Madrid just edges this for me. I personally feel like after watching these 2 ties, I can't keep looking past the issues Real Madrid has, just because they have succeeded in the past on so many occasions. They're getting older and older, and the players that are brought in to fill the gaps are just majorly lacking in quality. They don't get added points for experience anymore after this season when coming up against, the top clubs in Europe. So they didn't just edge it. It swung in the other direction with a 2-goal advantage to Chelsea. Let's see what the other semi looked like. Marquinhos himself is a top 10 defender in the world, perhaps top 5 even. He's one of the guys that I feel bad for in this PSG squad, as he deserves better based on how he has played for PSG so consistently. Consistently one of their top performers, a threat in the attack for PSG from set pieces, and a rock at the back. He's an excellent defender, and I do wonder how long he'll stick around at PSG. And I've barely spoken of him, but this is a Pochettino side. The man who famously took a much worse Tottenham side beyond Manchester City and into the final of the Champions League. He's been there as well. He's been to the final, and he's certainly familiar with Pep Guardiola at this point. And I think this speaks in part to how brilliant Guardiola is, which we'll go over later. It's not the same City side that lost to Tottenham a couple years ago. They've changed a ton, and mostly at the back, where they needed to. It's going to be close. Both of these semis are very well balanced, but I see PSG just edging it. Hey, maybe things would have been different if Mbappe played the second leg or Navas hadn't made errors in the first leg, but I mean, this is the difference in the Champions League, Little mistakes add up. Little things like this make the difference en route to the final, en route to any title, really. Look at the Gerrard slip, that tiny moment. But ultimately, City were the much better team, and my predictions were bang on, as usual this season. Horrible this season. I went from about 75% accuracy last season. I mean, we'll do a final count after this season's up, but I don't think that it's looking good. Maybe the group stage will save my percentage a little bit because I killed it there, but oof. So, what were some of my other thoughts? First of all, I think that Ruben Dias has had as big of an impact on this Manchester City side, of course in defense, but on the side as a whole, really, just as much of an impact as Virgil van Dijk did at Liverpool. They don't have the trophies to back it up just yet, but looking at how poor they were defensively at times and how they seemingly lacked a leader on the pitch, that's where the biggest void was. Ruben Dias has absolutely filled that void. Defensive performances aside, which he's been great, he's been the aforementioned leader that they've needed since Company left. You can see him directing and encouraging all match long from the back, ensuring the competitive standards are upheld amongst the entire team, ensuring they're focused, organized. I mean, managers really rely on these sort of generals on the pitch to be the representative of the manager on the pitch. And we've seen, such as at Liverpool and Chelsea both, how important defensive solidity is, and I'm absolutely confident that if you take Ruben Dias out of the City side, they don't achieve the things that they are now. I don't see Nathan Ake stepping up as Dias did. I don't see John Stones having the turnaround in his, career, kind of. And I don't see Laporte reaching the leadership levels that Dias has. And also, I think both Chelsea and Manchester City have proven the age-old notion of how defense wins you championships, or at least gets you to the finals of one. Guardiola knew that this was an area that had to be addressed, and the performances that he is getting out of his back line are fantastic. Everyone from Walker to Stones, and Outcast at times at City, remember, to Dias, Cancelo, Zinchenko, all of them have been fantastic. And on Chelsea's side of things, Tuchel knew that a strong defense was the best way forward. He changed their formation up. He ensured his players that they would be given a chance no matter who they are or what sort of standing they had in the club at the past. And look at the outcome. Antonio Rudiger is a different player. Christensen is becoming the monster he once was back in the day. Azpilicueta and Thiago Silva are as trustworthy as they've ever been, and it's an ever-changing look as well. Before he was playing, two pivots, if you will, in front of the defense, two deeper-lying midfielders. Now he has adjusted to just Jorginho, to not just be a ball player, but a ball winner that sits in front of the back line. Kante is looking like the Kante of old again, putting in dominant performance after dominant performance as a box-to-box midfielder. I mean, the guy appears everywhere on the pitch. Both of these teams have shown that the way forward is by looking to the back and ensuring that it's solid. Another thing that I like about the finalists is that there isn't necessarily a focus on one individual in particular, or even two individuals that the success of the squad is completely reliant upon. These are two teams, in the truest sense of the word. Both in defending and attacking, they do it as a unit. I mean, take your pick of who's going to provide the goals for City. It's just as likely to be Gundogan, their top scorer in the Premier League actually, as it is to be Mahrez, De Bruyne, Foden, maybe Stones will get up for a corner. And I mean, the same goes for Chelsea, as I highlighted earlier. I mean, in the Premier League, they don't have a single scorer above 6 goals, but they've had 15 different goal scorers, from defenders to midfielders to attackers as well. When you look at PSG, if you take out Mbappe, suddenly their prospects look far poorer. When you look at City, if you take out De Bruyne, it's of course a loss. Losing a player like De Bruyne, of course, is a loss. But there's depth on the bench to make up for it. They aren't reliant entirely on a player as much as PSG are reliant upon Neymar or Mbappe. And they don't lose as much quality when you subtract De Bruyne as PSG do when you subtract Neymar or Mbappe. Same goes for Real Madrid, at least in the attack. You take away Benzema, and I don't know that they're a squad that makes it beyond the round of 16 on a regular basis. These semis were two triumphs of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. And speaking of sums, actually, well, it's interesting to note that, as Manuel Veth pointed out on Twitter, Manchester City and Chelsea had the biggest expenditures of any clubs in Europe, as well as the most negative transfer balance, even with the pandemic. I think that saying this is solely a triumph of spending money is a big stretch. Of course, the additions of the squads made a difference, but saying that their success is entirely down to that is a bit of lazy analysis and completely discounts what these two incredible managers have managed to do. Look at Chelsea and where they were at the beginning of January, before Tuchel took over, floundering in the league. And now they're heading to the Champions League final, the FA Cup final, and it's still mathematically possible for them to finish as high as even second. They need United to drop some major points, however. Top 4 alone is a great achievement considering where they were, and the tests that Tuchel has had to overcome have been incredible. He has come up against some of the best managers in the world, like Zidane, Guardiola, Klopp, Simeone, Mourinho, and Ancelotti. Mourinho and Ancelotti best managers in the world anymore? I'm not sure. But still, he didn't lose to a single one of them and has defeated them all at least once, keeping clean sheets in most of those matches. That's incredibly impressive. This final will be a more competitive one than if Real Madrid had moved on to face Manchester City, as I think they would have won it fairly comfortably against Zidane's side. Now, with these two facing each other, it's difficult to say who will come out on top. The easy answer, I guess, would be City, maybe. But Chelsea have proven over and over that they aren't afraid of anyone, and as Tuchel himself had hoped, they built a team that nobody will enjoy playing against. Anyways, I'll save some of this for, the final preview in a couple of weeks. Gotta give some time to see what happens with injuries and form, etc. before I jump on the preview. Not that it will change anything. I mean, I've tried to wait and not do the preview too early this season, and injuries still crop up everywhere. I mean, such is the season. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching once again. My name is Adrian, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Ciao.